I want you to meet a young pastor from Harrisburg now, who Pennsylvania native, somebody I've known for a while. I've had him as a guest on my show, Joe Watkins, State of Independence, on Lighthouse TV. For those of you who are interested in seeing any of those interviews, Rob McCurry's been on. A number of people that are here at this conference have been guests on my show, and you can watch any of those shows whenever you want on YouTube. If you look for Joe Watkins, State of Independence on YouTube, you can see any of those shows, any of those interviews with some of these great Republicans and some of these great Americans. In any case, let me introduce you to Pastor Joshua Robertson. Joshua Robertson is the senior pastor of the Rock Church in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Along with his wife, Shaniqua Robertson, he established the Rock Church. He's a former athlete. He won't tell you that, but he's a former football player. He did really, really well as an athlete in high school here in Pennsylvania. And he earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Minnesota in 2011. In 2021, he earned his master's degree in theology from Evangelical Theology Seminary. And it was during his educational pursuit in Minnesota that he met the love of his life, Lady Shaniqua Robertson. From their blessed union, they have two children, Lanaya and Brooklyn. Pastor Robertson is the founder and CEO of the Black Pastors United for Education. Black Pastors United for Education is a network of like-minded pastors and congregations that strategically partner to educate under-resourced children in non-traditional learning spaces, as well as to advocate to acquire the necessary resources and partnerships that uplift impoverished communities. Please give a warm welcome to Pastor Joshua Robertson.
Good afternoon. I am so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to be here with you today to share these precious moments where, as Americans, we have some critical decisions to make and some critical things to think about and think through. I stand here as a representative of the state of Pennsylvania, of a pastor of a local church. I stand here as a representative, as one who has matriculated through our school system in Pennsylvania. After hearing about some of the credentials, a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, you may say, well, I guess education was fine for you, but really it wasn't. I have an interesting tale of my educational pursuit and journey. I was able to matriculate through 12 years of our school system in Pennsylvania and graduate at probably a first or second grade level of reading. You may ask, well, how does that happen? Well, if you have a bit of athletic prowess, you'd be shocked at some of the doors you can walk through and some of the accommodations that people make. And so I was able to matriculate through 12 years of school, barely reading. No one knew until about the fourth time of me taking the SAT, where I couldn't get the right SAT score in order to receive a Division I scholarship to play football. And so I missed out on several offers to play college football at the Division I level and had to settle for a Division I AA scholarship, little small school in North Carolina, Gardner-Webb University. Everyone thought it was all good until the third semester, where I had a .67 GPA. My mom said, Josh, how you get a .67? I don't know how you do that, Josh. Well, I didn't know how to read, and so I ended up failing out of college. And when I failed out of college, the month before failing out, I met a bishop in North Carolina. And when I failed out, he called me and he said, man, when you coming back down to school? I said, hey, man, school is done. I don't have the grades. I don't have any way to stay down there. And he said to me, well, what are you going to do now? I was 19 years old. Football was done. I was out of school. I said, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, man, whatever you're doing right now, you're about to throw away your entire life, aren't you? Aren't you? And after about the third or fourth time saying that, I had tears rolling down my face, because what he didn't know was I was in Altoona, Pennsylvania with a friend that I grew up with who had asked me to travel to Altoona with him, and I had $50,000 worth of heroin in the back of my truck. Now, I had no intention on selling it. I was just taking a friend, right? And I was literally on the car ride up there praying to God that we don't get stopped by no cops. I wasn't about that life or anything, but I was scared. I was lost. And this bishop said, man, move back down here and we'll figure it out together. And so I moved back down there. I took all my possessions and drove back down to North Carolina. And the next day, this man enrolled himself and myself into Cleveland Area Community College in Shelby, North Carolina. This man let me live at his house. Had no bedroom space for me, so I lived on his couch. And my rent for living with him was playing the organ at his church and being a student. And mind you, this bishop, 36 years old, earned PhD, enrolled himself in the junior college as well as myself to show me how to be a student. And after the first week, he realized it was very clear I couldn't read. And so he bought me a Goosebumps book and a highlighter. And his class from week to week was tougher than the 3 I was taking at the community college. I had to write a book report every week about the chapter that I had just read. I was 19 years old when this bishop made this lasting imprint on my life. I now have a bachelor's degree from the University of Minnesota. I have a master's degree from Evangelical Theological Seminary. I finished my master's degree with the highest GPA in the entire seminary. So I didn't, well, praise God. But I didn't have an intelligence problem. I just fundamentally could not learn from reading. But no one had ever noticed it. I was 19 years old before someone noticed it. I wasn't in a room of 30 kids. I was in a room of one-on-one. It was when someone inconvenienced their entire life to give me a chance. It was in a moment where somebody said, you know what? I'll sacrifice my time, my treasure, my talent, everything that I have to make sure that the next generation has a chance. I ran into a bridge builder. That's what that bishop was to me at 19. Now, as Black Pastors United for Education, we establish learning centers. Our learning centers are in our church, and our kids are enrolled in a public cyber charter school. But instead of doing their curriculum at home, we hire members of the church to oversee their academic day. And this has been radical. This type of intervention, not at 19 when most people don't bounce back from losing a full football scholarship to a university, but not at 19, at 9, when kids come to us several grade levels behind in reading and math. And what do they need? The instruction in the curriculum that comes from the public cyber charter school. But what do they need? That we have people we call love warriors, learning guides, who study the child, study their learning habits, study their inclinations, study how this child is kind of wired. And what it has done is this conglomerate, this collaboration between the education community and a local community, a local church full of people that just love people, this different way of doing school, this innovative way of doing school. Let me tell you about its results. In our first year, we started with 9 children. At the end of that year, we had 30 children. 29 out of those 30 children came to us failing. At the end of the year, 22 out of the 30 finished on the honor roll. Remarkable transition. If that's not enough, in our second year, 51% of the students finished above a 90% across all grades, right? You're talking about dramatic change. You're talking about children who come from the inner city, parents. Parenting is at its all-time low, in my estimation. See, I had parents who, if you didn't do right at school, they had a leather reminder of what is right to do. Now, that may not be your style, and I'm not advocating that. I appreciate my parents for what they did for me, but a lot of these kids don't have discipline. They don't have consistency at home. They don't have safe environments at home. And then they go to a school that the school is doing their very best, and the school is helping as many kids as they can. But really, a lot of them slip through the crack. It's easy to when you have one teacher and 25 to 30 students. It's easy to slip through the crack. And so it brings me to this question of what options do we have moving forward? And I think as Americans, we need to apply our American values, which makes us America, to education. We're a country full of innovation, creativity, collaboration. We're a country full of options. You all don't believe me? Just look at the many options that are around you right now. It's around lunchtime. And I'm assuming some of you all's proclivity around lunchtime is to eat. Well, you have a buffet right here in the back for $18. But if you don't want that, Perkins is right across the street. If you don't want that, you have Taco Bell right there. If you don't want that, you have McDonald's. You have a plethora of restaurants for you to make your choice based off of what works best for you. That's the American way. Why wouldn't we do that with education? Why wouldn't we try to have the most robust offerings of education in this world? Why wouldn't we be training the future, our children, to be global collaborators and competitors? If we truly believe that this country is the great country in which it is, in which I do believe it is, even given our country's dark past. Yes, we don't have just great testimonies, we have some dark testimonies, but you put all of those testimonies together and you have a testimony of resilience, you have a testimony of innovation, you have a testimony of conquest. And why wouldn't we apply this to education? I think education is the 21st century civil rights issue. I think education in America is how we can both atone for our past and prepare for our future. Education. If we provide robust education offerings to all American citizens, regardless of the ability to access it financially, I think we do ourselves a favor, not only in today, but also in the times to come, when the ages and pages of time has closed its books and people study what we did. What will they say about this generation when we are long off the scene? When you and I have closed up life's final curtains and pitched our tent and moved upstairs, what will the history books say about us? I hope that they would say, I hope the history books would ring loud a testimony of love and of collaboration, of dedication, of prophetic courage, that we would do what is best, that we would create what is best, that we would speak truth to powers that be, that we would build a world that all of us would be proud to live in. That's what Black Pastors United for Education is about. I think within the next 30 years, what would it look like to make education a nonpartisan issue? To make it an issue where we are worried about our children and we don't allow the politics or the parties to interrupt policies that treat all of our children equal and give equal access to everyone. This is our plight. This is our responsibility. And I stand today as a proud member of the Rock Church. I stand as a proud member of the Harrisburg community. I stand as a proud member of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I stand as a proud American citizen. And I think that we can do what is necessary to do to create a better world for us to live in the future. We are the trustees of our children's future. Let's do it well. Thank you.